So here's the strategy for this book. 1. To explore what the Bible itself reveals about the culture in which it was formed, with textuality under the influence of orality. 2. To reckon with the oral impact on the composition and transmission of Scripture. 3. To learn from recent research about ancient oral culture. 4. To investigate the Gospels as testing ground for the impact of oral culture on divine revelation. And 5. To rethink our reading of Scripture so we can come closer to hearing it as the original audiences did. The underlying question is it time for a paradigm shift in the interpretation of Scripture? Are we missing something if we only read it? Is there a dynamic in hearing Scripture that's less present in reading it? Sounds like we have our hands full. Actually, we'll be skipping some topics that are clearly pertinent. It would be useful to know how the brain functions differently when hearing and reading and what that means for different ways of thinking, but we'll leave that up to brain scientists. It would be helpful to live in an oral culture somewhere in the world in order to experience that unique way of life ourselves, but we'll have to depend on secondhand insights from people who have been immersed in oral cultures, as well as from social scientists who study such cultures. Clearly, we will not solve all the issues raised in this book. They are above my pay grade, and it will require a village to sort them all out and construct a way forward. But failing to engage carefully with the evidence for biblical orality, or worse, mindlessly ignoring the evidence, could be like someone who plays tennis well, thinking they can play the game of baseball with the same rules and objectives. A baseball coach might say to the tennis player, "Don't try to put spin on the ball. Do your best to hit it straight, preferably through the gap and as far as possible." Likewise, a cultural intelligence coach might say to a textual interpreter, "Don't try to understand a statement simply as words printed on a page. Do your best to understand it as it was originally heard."